So something weird has happened again, and sure, I should just gonna leave this audio for I'm curious, but I'll make it fun enough for it. I think I'm just curious about something, and it came up in a discussion I had, sort of, I replied to my comment on Reddit in regards to basically a transphobic YouTuber, and it got me thinking. Like, I know this one that I've watched that's sort of progressive and calls out regressive people, basically, or right wingers, and it got me thinking about. Well, it's actually a comment that got me thinking about the this YouTuber who apparently was transphobic, and I do briefly remember that time actually. Talk about rationality rules, so to be specific here, there's no point in hiding the fact. It was pretty obvious, so it was anyway. Um, it just got me thinking about apologies and stuff and why people are not able to construct one. And I think there's a variety of reasons why, and I definitely can't answer this with certainty. But definitely from what I'm thinking anyway, and how I'd view it in their situation, there's like different reasons why. Um, so for something as heinous as being anti-woke, I think people would rather cover it up. So they essentially mislead both types of people and hope the apology will land for the people that it would land on, essentially. So it's an exploit in a sense. I think this is generally what people tend to move towards, including like, CEOs, corporations, whatever, whenever they get in hot shit. And I think that's probably why. It's to save face and at the same time not acknowledge what they've done. And that's really why we tend not to accept an apology, but it's only us in that, as far as I understand it. I think if you did a survey or even a study, you'd probably find that the majority of people know a good apology and a lot of people don't. A good apology comes with compensation, usually if it's like a product. But if it's a belief, I think it's harder to get an apology in that sense. Because I think some people have it sort of drilled in and others are not willing to open their mind and stuff. And ironically, this applies to the people who create the problems to begin with, that they're other people themselves are apologising for. Um, it's an interesting situation. Um, I just looked up apologies to spell it, and it says apologies for inconvenience. And it's just got me thinking, like, obviously that's a generic thing that's said. And just got me thinking, like, someone probably looks it up every day. Like some people in like the workplace and who are higher up, like CEOs, obviously, and managers, they probably look for apology ideas and stuff. It'll probably be AI generated now, which is hilarious, but also a bit sad as well. But yeah, I think the general reason why is because people are so dumb. Like, we get a lot of loud talking people nowadays, and that gets completely shadowed by people who are well meaning and. Like, wait, no. What was I saying? Got two things mixed up there. I think, like, people apologise and think they've done it right, and it's usually the loud people that think this. Like, they have such confidence in themselves that it doesn't actually work. They're not actually apologising in that sense, and like the people who do know how to apologise sometimes get lost in a panic. And yeah, like, no surprise, sometimes some of the situations are quite horrific. Um, in general, like, if you're apologising for a belief, then it needs to be about the belief, otherwise, people are not going to accept it. This is what I'm sort of getting onto in a moment here. I think, other than people not actually caring and not changing their beliefs, I think there's also a barrier towards it and not understanding what makes an apology. And I think I came about this sort of discussion when, other than the comment on Reddit, I generally started thinking about how would I apologise, how would I make things better essentially, and not have people essentially hating me at the end of the day. I'm not really a people pleaser anyway. I don't care about pleasing people. I just try to speak truth, try to find it. If you don't like it, it's not my problem. It's your problem. But then, if I did say something wrong that isn't truthful, that I need to clear up, how would I go about it? Well, I'd start by saying, well, not acknowledging what it was to begin with. So say, like I got sponsored or something, and it was a bad type of sponsor, and the contract was like, I don't know, like just one video. I don't know how it works actually exactly, but this is just an example. Because there's possibly big YouTubers watching this, I don't know. But I'd say, sorry for the sponsorship. It's not a good sponsor. Here are the problems. Here's X, Y problem. Here's why you shouldn't support it, and I apologise for that. I'm truly sorry. Something along those lines. It's sort of hard to construct one without having any feelings tied to it, because I've never had a sponsor. I had one once reach out to me. It seemed like a scam, so I basically asked like what's it about, and they didn't answer. So there goes that. Also, I'd have like non-negotiables, like it has to be an honest review. If you're not confident in your product, then you shouldn't be getting sponsors, basically. Yeah, like the general gist of it is expressing empathy with victims and making changes yourself for the better. And like in the apology, you could say moving forward, I'll try to avoid X type of sponsorships and stuff. It's a concerning situation though, all things considered, because like not the apology bit, I'm speaking on discussion bit here. It's concerning because I think a lot of people, I think the people who are affected by it most get hit the hardest, and it doesn't matter whether it's a majority or a minority. It's all the same really. People get hurt, and that's that really. You can't escape that in a sense, and part of this is actually calling out Rationality Rules, Stephen Montford, for not apologising publicly for transphobic comments. And obviously the transgender sports video, which was where the first controversy stirred up over 5 years ago. It's something that pretty much nobody agreed with. People even saying on the video like, I lost all faith on you, in you, on you. I'm gonna say on you, it's weird. I lost all respect for you. Things like that, and also some provided evidence and others didn't. And this is where the distinguishing thing actually sort of happens in like debate spaces and stuff. A good faith argument is based on evidence, and a bad faith one is simply based on nothing, or it's just insulting. And insulting both a sort of embarrassment term and also just throwing out whatever, like swear words, slurs, whatever. And that's the difference between the two. Also, like bad faith, I consider something like galloping. Is that the debate term? I can't remember, but it's a fallacy. I can't remember the term, but there's definitely a fallacy out there where people will essentially avoid the question, avoid anything related to it, just because they can. And it's quite pathetic, really, in the grand scheme of things. It's definitely a worrying situation. And usually that means someone is wrong about something. It's when they can't actually stand for their position. They can't actively refute it, and I've seen a lot of debates like a while ago. I watched Flat Earthers debate Go Earthers, and watched vegans debate non-vegans, and even atheists versus religious people. And the most common thing I see is not taking sides here, but usually the people who try to seek the truth end up having the most evidence. And it's demonstrably true most of the time, like there's evidence. And some of it isn't, but most of the time it can be. And when that's always presented, you see the opposing argument basically gish-gabbing. They just don't know what to do. They've been utterly destroyed, and like from there, the rational thing to do there is to either find evidence to support your case that's greater than the evidence used against you, or the evidence against your argument. Sounded like a police thing there. It probably is actually. But then you also have to you have to ask yourself whether it's the right thing and truthfully answer. And not just like, oh, I've been told something that's true, I'm just gonna get scalloped and insult and whatever. Instead, you've got to change your frame of mind and look elsewhere. Really look elsewhere where you change to fit the opposing view and admit that you're wrong. As simple as that, and then naturally you don't need to apologise for that sort of thing. But if you're more careful about this, you wouldn't need to debate it, for that matter. And nobody's perfect in that sense. Like, I won't debate people on the belief of God because nobody can prove it. On either side, it doesn't matter what you believe. But people care when there's either rights at stake, where like religion will preach something like, I don't know, stripping women away of rights, and even though it's not been proven, for some reason, banning LGBTQ plus, yeah, like that will be debated, and that's actually a violation of rights, even in a debate, because simply put, the truth is out there. Religion is something in writing, it's not necessarily given by God. And if you do follow those sort of things, then if you don't think about how others feel about it, then you don't really care about rights, and at the same time, that leads to controversies and that leads to conflicts and whatever. And then you need to end up apologising for the harm you've done. Like going back to the apology thing, people write a stupid blanket apology like, sorry for the inconvenience, and not actually say anything or even address the thing that was needed to be apologised for. Like, it's absolutely crazy. It's crazy what people can get away with saying nowadays. I think the people who get stuck in their mind a lot and not seek out help or others' attention, they're at most risk of being one of these people who's the guilty party, basically. Actually, that's a good name for it. The guilty party. Even though it's like a general term, I think as an umbrella term for people who've done wrong, that's not a bad name. It's interesting. Of course, it means some people have apologised and some haven't, but still, I think it's important. Yeah. I think that's all I'm going to say on this, though. Thanks for listening. Interested to know what people think about this, and I'm genuinely curious. You need to have open-mindedness as well. If you're closed-minded about something, that's a bad faith debate, bad faith argument. It always will be. It's just undeniable. Like, once you get used to things changing, it's better, really. There's some things I've had to adjust to in life, and like even in living situations and stuff. The more you try to argue against it, the worse it sort of gets. And that's even true if you're right about something. But there comes a point where giving up is actually a valid option. And that's more true for the people on the wrong side. It becomes less true for the people on the right side because you're right in doing so. And that's really the justification for it. And that's why we call out bad apologies. Because they're on the wrong side. They're not doing the right thing. There's alarming massive helicopter sound. That's horrible. Yeah, thanks for watching. See you another time.